Assalamu alaikum. I'm sure everybody is fine and doing well. In today's lecture regarding metabolism of individual amino acids, we will discuss in detail the different products we get by the metabolism of phenylalanine and tyrosine. Phenylalanine, which everybody knows, it is essential amino acid, nutritionally essential amino acid, and this tyrosine, nutritionally non-essential amino acid, because our body can synthesize tyrosine in sufficient amount provided our diet is having a phenylalanine. So in today's lecture we will discuss details regarding the metabolism and the products we are getting from tyrosine, and in fact all the functions, all the products we are getting from tyrosine, that is also the credit of phenylalanine. Phenylalanine is essential while tyrosine is non-essential, nutritionally, remember. Sparing action of tyrosine for phenylalanine if taken in diet. But as you know, the conversion of phenylalanine to tyrosine, it is irreversible. Our body cannot synthesize phenylalanine from tyrosine. So phenylalanine is always essential, nutritionally essential amino acid. We have to take phenylalanine in our diet. Both are glucogenic as well as ketogenic. The only function of phenylalanine beside incorporation into protein, which is the common function of all the amino acid, so beside its common function, the other function is its conversion into tyrosine. So all the function, rest of the functions are carried out by a tyrosine. You can see in this slide the common function of phenylalanine and tyrosine is the synthesis of protein, translation of proteins, because they are the coded amino acid, they are the primary standard amino acids. So they are going to synthesize a protein. Beside the formation of protein, tyrosine, in its metabolism, it is going to form catecholamines, epinephrine, norepinephrine, and it takes place in adrenal medulla, while it is also converted into dopamine in central nervous system. It is converted into thyroxine and triiodothyronine T3, which is the active form of thyroid hormone. So it takes place in thyroid gland, while tyrosine, by the activity of another enzyme tyrosinase, it is converted into a pigment melanin. Melanin is present in the skin, hair and eye, and by its presence it gives color, different colors to these organs, skin, hair and eye. Now this slide is showing how the phenylalanine is converted into tyrosine. You see here phenylalanine converted to tyrosine, and the enzyme is hydroxylase. This reaction is taking place in liver. Phenylalanine hydroxylase. Coenzyme is tetrahydrobiopterin, because it is supplying reducing equivalents to the reaction, and after providing the reducing equivalent, tetrahydrobiopterin is converted into dihydrobiopterin. Now this dihydrobiopterin is converted back into its active form tetrahydrobiopterin by receiving the reducing equivalents from NADPH in the presence of dihydrobiopterin reductase enzyme. So NADPH is providing reducing equivalent. So by the activity of this enzyme, dihydrobiopterin is converted back into tetrahydrobiopterin. And as I told you, the sources of NADPH in our body are from HMP shunt. Now you can see here fate of tyrosine. Tyrosine, it is one fate when it is metabolized in our body. Tyrosine transaminase, it is degraded into acetoacetate and fumarate, and because it is being degraded into these two compounds, acetoacetate, which is ultimately converted into acetyl-CoA, so that is ketogenic property, and formation of fumarate to enter in the TCA cycle is glucogenic property. That is why a tyrosine is ketogenic as well as glucogenic. The other fates of tyrosine, by the activity, either it is, in fact, I want to show in this slide, tyrosine has different fates. When it is acted upon by this enzyme, it will lead to its degradation. When it is being acted upon by tyrosinase, it will be converted into pigment melanin. Or when active iodine attaches in the thyroid gland, it is going to form thyroid hormones T4, T3. And when tyrosine is being acted upon by tyrosine hydroxylase, it is going to form dopamine, noradrenaline and adrenaline. This is important slide to remember all the functions of the tyrosine, how they proceed in different directions when they are being added by the different enzymes. Now, degradation of tyrosine. The metabolism of phenylalanine tyrosine is considered together. The final products of degradation are acetoacetate, that is why it is ketogenic, and fumarate, and this is a glucogenic property. Fumarate ultimately is converted into a glucose, or it enters the TCA cycle to be completely oxidized to deliver energy. Now this slide is showing the metabolic pathway of tyrosine when it is acted upon by transaminase enzyme. So you trace the route right from phenylalanine. By the activity of hydroxylase enzyme, it is converted into tyrosine, and tyrosine, by the activity of tyrosine transaminase, it is converted into hydroxyphenyl pyruvate. Hydroxyphenyl pyruvate is converted into homogentisic acid, homogentisate. Homogentisate is converted into mallyl acetoacetate and next into fumaryl acetoacetate. Fumaryl acetoacetate, ultimately it is, by the activity of hydrolase enzyme, it is split into two compounds, fumarate and acetoacetate. So the final products we are getting from the tyrosine by the activity of tyrosine transaminase are fumarate and acetoacetate. If you trace back, it is easy to remember. If you remember that tyrosine is going to form fumarate and acetoacetate, the immediate product from which they are being synthesized will be fumaryl acetoacetate. So the other only two names you have to remember if you want to write the whole products, metabolic products we are getting from the metabolism of tyrosine. So fumaryl acetoacetate, mallyl acetoacetate, homogentisic acid, hydroxyphenyl pyruvate, tyrosine and phenylalanine. This is very important step. When phenylalanine is converted into tyrosine by this hydroxylase enzyme, it has got a great significance regarding a disease. We will discuss in detail what happens when the enzyme is deficient. It leads to phenylketonuria. Next important point is here. When homogentic acid is converted into this malonyl acetoacetate, homogentic acid, excessive accumulation of homogentic acid when this enzyme is deficient, and we also name homogentic acid as alkaptone. This clinical condition is alkaptonuria. So with two diseases you will come across with the tyrosine metabolism. These two diseases, phenylketonuria and alkaptonuria, we will discuss detail in our last lectures regarding diseases of the amino acid metabolisms. Simply to write the whole metabolic pathway, just remember the name. Try to write yourself on the paper all these names. You will be able to remember: phenylalanine, tyrosine, hydroxyphenyl pyruvate, homogentic acid or homogentisate, malonyl acetoacetate, and fumaryl acetoacetate. As the name is showing, fumaryl acetoacetate is converged into two compounds, fumarate and acetoacetate, and this is a ketogenic property because it can incorporate it to synthesize to form fat. And regarding fumarate, it either enters the TCA cycle or it is going to synthesize glucose, that is the glucogenic property. So these two enzymes, hydroxylase and oxidase, has got great clinical significance, and this is also very important regarding your examination point of view, regarding your SCQs, regarding your viva. Now, synthesis of melanin from tyrosine. Tyrosine, when it is acted upon by tyrosinase, it is converted into DOPA, dihydroxyphenylalanine. You see here another hydroxyl group is added in tyrosine structure. We get dihydroxy. So two hydroxyl groups are present at the number 3 and 4. 3,4 dihydroxyphenylalanine, DOPA. In the next step, once again, tyrosinase, the same enzyme, it acts, and dihydroxyphenylalanine, DOPA, is converted into dopaquinone. This is dopaquinone. Dopaquinone undergoes two metabolic pathways. When in dopaquinone cysteine is incorporated, it is going to form melanin polymorphs, that is the red melanin. So cysteine is incorporated into dopaquinone and it is converted into red melanin pigments, while another track is non-enzymatic conversion of dopaquinone into leukodopachrome. This is leukodopachrome. Leukodopachrome is converted into 5,6-dihydroxyindole. This is dihydroxyindole. This is leukodopachrome. This is non-enzymatic conversion of dopaquinone. Now this leukodopachrome is converted into 5,6-dihydroxyindole, and once again by the activity of tyrosinase, it is converted into indole 5,6-quinone. Indole 5,6-quinone, this is actually the track which is going to form black melanin pigment, while when this dopaquinone it is interacted with cysteine, sulfur containing amino acid, this track is going to form red melanin pigments. So indole 5,6-quinone is ultimately going to form melanochromes, which are the melanin polymers, black pigments, black melanin pigments. So this is how tyrosinase, when it is acted upon by tyrosinase at different steps. Here you can see tyrosinase, non-enzymatic conversion. After that, non-enzymatic conversion into leukodopachrome. It is again acted upon by tyrosinase and is converted into black melanin pigment. This you can summarize, you can write the names yourself, how the red melanin and black melanin is formed from the tyrosine. Tyrosine converted into dopa, dopa into dopaquinone assumes two pathways. Either after the incorporation of cysteine, it is converted into red melanin, or dopaquinone, non-enzymatically it is converted into leukodopachrome, and which is converted into, by the activity of tyrosinase, dihydroxyindole, and then into indole 5,6-quinone, and then melanochrome, which ultimately leads to form black melanin. Now in this slide you can see how the thyroid hormones T3 and T4 are synthesized in thyroid gland, and how they are released into the circulation. Thyroglobulin, which is a protein synthesized in the follicular cells of thyroid gland. This is the dimeric protein. Its function is only within the thyroid gland. Thyroglobulin this protein has 100 to 120 tyrosine residues. So tyrosine residues, and among these 100 to 120 tyrosine residues, only less than 20 residues of tyrosine, they are iodinated. They get active iodine, and active iodine, a simple iodine which is absorbed into the circulation, it is concentrated in the thyroid gland. The concentration is 30 times more than the general circulation. So definitely it will be by active transport. So iodine there is converted into active iodine or iodide form, and this conversion requires hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide itself is converted into water, and iodine become active. Now this active iodine attaches with the tyrosine residue of the thyroglobulin protein. So after they are attached with the iodine, they are going to form either monoiodotyrosine or diiodotyrosine by the activity of thyroperoxidase enzyme. So you can see this is one iodine is attached on the tyrosine ring, monoiodotyrosine. So iodine is attached at two places. This is diiodotyrosine. So by the activity of this enzyme, thyroglobulin, after the active iodine is attached, is converted into mono or diiodotyrosine. Now in the next step, final step, diiodotyrosine attaches with monoiodotyrosine to become triiodothyronine. So diiodotyrosine, two molecules of diiodotyrosine attach with the one molecule of monoiodotyrosine, so we get triiodothyronine. This is the thyroid hormone T3. And when two molecules of diiodotyrosine, they combine by the activity of diiodotyrosine, these residues, when two diiodotyrosine, they combine with each other, they are going to form this thyroxine, which is T4, tetraiodothyronine. Tetraiodothyronine is 20 times more in concentration as compared to triiodothyronine. But biologically, this T3 triiodothyronine is 5 times more potent than T4. So after the thyroglobulin is having triiodothyronine or tetrahydrothyronine, when it is required, they are proteolytic, cleaved. You see, the protein thyroglobulin undergoes proteolytic breakdown to release the free hormones T3 and T4. This is how in thyroid gland iodine, when it becomes active, it attaches with the tyrosine residues that become monoiodotyrosine or diiodotyrosine. Two molecules of diiodotyrosine combine to form tetraiodothyronine, or diiodotyrosine. One molecule combines with one molecule of monoiodotyrosine to form triiodothyronine. So this is how they are formed in the thyroid follicles. Here you can see the synthesis of dopamine. Dopamine, when tyrosine is acted upon by tyrosine hydroxylase, it means another hydroxyl group is added. This enzyme requires this coenzyme tetrahydrobiopterin, itself converted into dihydroxybiopterin. So what we get is dihydroxy. This is one hydroxy, this is second hydroxy, dihydroxy phenylalanine, DOPA. Now in the second step, what happens? This carboxyl group is removed in the form of CO2 by decarboxylase enzyme. Pyridoxal phosphate is required for that. So DOPA is converted into dopamine, because when you remove the carboxylic group and the amino group remains there at the alpha carbon, it will become amine. So decarboxylase enzyme removes this carboxylic group in the form of CO2. DOPA is converted into dopamine. DOPA undergoes vitamin B6 dependent decarboxylation to give dopamine. Dopamine, its relation with the Parkinson's disease. It is characterized by muscular rigidity. When dopamine is not being synthesized in sufficient amount in our body, it may lead to exhibit these clinical conditions: Parkinson's disease, characterized by muscular rigidity, tremors, expressionless face, lethargy, and involuntary movements. Now here in this slide, we see how catecholamines are synthesized in our body from tyrosine. The name catechol refers to dihydroxylated phenyl ring. You see here, the phenyl ring, when it is dihydroxylated, two hydroxyl groups are added, it is called catechol. The amine derivatives of catechols are called catecholamines, like dopamine, epinephrine, and norepinephrine. Two different enzyme systems exist to convert tyrosine to DOPA. When it is acted upon by tyrosine hydroxylase, this activity is present in adrenal medulla and CNS. And when tyrosine is acted upon by tyrosinase, it is converted into dopa, but this activity of this enzyme is we see in melanocytes, where it is going to form the melanin pigment. The tyrosine converted into dopa, you add another hydroxyl group. By tyrosine hydroxylase, you get dopa. Dopa, when it is acted upon by decarboxylase, it becomes amine, dopamine, dopa, dopamine. Dopamine hydroxylase then acts. It converts it to norepinephrine. And norepinephrine, this is catecholamine, dopamine, this is also catecholamine, norepinephrine, because they are having the ring of catechol. And norepinephrine, when it receives the methyl group, it becomes epinephrine. And you remember the methyl group donor is methionine. Which form? S-adenosyl methionine, its active form to donate the methyl group. The methyl group which is donated is called labile methyl group. So that methyl group is being donated by S-adenosyl methionine, norepinephrine, it becomes epinephrine. So this is how these catecholamines, dopamine, norepinephrine and epinephrine are synthesized from dopa, or in fact from tyrosine. The tissue specificity that in adrenal medulla, epinephrine and norepinephrine are synthesized. This is norepinephrine and epinephrine in adrenal medulla. While in brain, this dopamine is synthesized in brain. Now in this slide you see how these catecholamines are synthesized. You see here dopamine is converted into norepinephrine by the enzyme dopamine hydroxylase, and by the activity of this the change appears here. Here the hydroxyl group is attached. You see hydroxyl group is attached to dopamine, it becomes norepinephrine, another catecholamine. And now the second change appears to be here, that methyl group is added here and this norepinephrine becomes epinephrine. Methyl group donor is S-adenosyl methionine, which creates its methyl group, and in the presence of methyl transferase enzyme. So here methyl group is added and norepinephrine is converted into epinephrine. So these are the steps by which different catecholamines are synthesized in our body. Epinephrine and norepinephrine stimulate the degeneration of triglycerides and glycogen. So increase in the blood glucose, they also increase the blood pressure. Dopamine and norepinephrine serve as a neurotransmitter in brain and autonomic nervous system. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for today's lecture. Inshallah, we will discuss the detailed metabolism of tryptophan and other amino acids in our next lecture. Thank you. Stay safe. Stay blessed.